can see the elevation we have here. So for the sake of what I was trying to explain, I am going to also go to download as well, and I'm going to cut this. So cut it up here, come here, and I'm going to paste them. So we have two data of Rwanda here. Now one, I'm going to extract this one and just extract it here. Okay, so you see here that we have two of the raster here, and this is what I was explaining about spatial resolution. Here we have another Rwanda data is 68 kilobyte. Here we have another data is 221 MB. Now the first thing is I'm going to import this. I'll go to this location, copy the directory, return back to ArcGIS, click on add data, then I'm going to paste it. So once I paste this, so it takes me to this location. Here we have Rwanda mass TIFF, and then I'm going to add it up, and you see the Rwanda here. So let me turn off this while we wait for it to come. So it's definitely going to come. So once it comes, we will be able to have the elevation data. So here you see now that it's asking me to calculate the statistics. So I will go ahead and say yes. Then to turn this one off here, you see the Rwanda elevation here. Now you can see this. This is what it shows you, the elevation of Rwanda. So to change this, I'm just going to maybe change the color for you to see how it looks. So this is what the Rwanda elevation looks, which is mask. And if you look here, you see now the size. If you take your measurement, for example, you take the measurement of each of the cells from here to here. Let's change it from we can also change it to matrix here, and let's be reading it. So you see here that each of the data cell is about 900 and something. So you can see here, for example, even though I don't measure it well, if you go down this way, so you can see the size of the grid. Now what is it trying to tell you? It's trying to show you that this have a coarse size of data. If you go down to property, and you go to metadata, and you can see here all you need to see about it. So source, this is the source here, raster information. You can see that the cell is 0.00 something, and the row is 228 and 264. So you can see the size here, uncompressed, and everything just need to do. When you go to the band, you can see it is only have band 1. Statistic, so you can see the minimum and maximum of the bound here, mean extent, every data you need to see on the metadata, and spatial reference. This is what is being referenced. This is the first data. Then if you go to the second data, you can see here that click backward, and then also back, and you can have elevation here. Then let's go down to this location as well, where we have this elevation data. We have this, so we need also to extract it. So I'm going to go ahead here, extract, and that's going to be extracted. So once I extract it, so we'll add it up, and you can see the difference between them. Now down here we have extracted this raster CO3 30, and I'm going to copy the directory, and I'm going here to paste it. And when I paste it, so you can see here, and then I'll add it up. Now you see this is a data that we have. The second one we downloaded from Open Topographic, which is Copernicus 30, and the 30 meters is bigger than what we downloaded from the other one. So when we add it up, we can compare the difference between those rasters. So if you look here, see here, there is a difference. Now let's jump into raster layer, and then let's use Flickr, and you can see here. So if you look at the way both of them shows, you can see difference between them. So if you look here, you see now that this shows you a well-detailed elevation. Now let's go to the northern province, where we can see most elevation well seen. So you can see here that this shows you a well profile elevation than the other one. So you can see the black one, and the other one shows you more elevation. So even if when you stop this, and let's swipe across it, so let's go using swipe tools, so you can see here the way both of them are shown, they are not the same thing. Look here, then let's swipe across, so you can see difference between them. So it is well detailed. Now look at the higher and lower, and then look at the metadata. Let's just go to the differences here, so you can see under you can see something here under reference information. You can see the size here, 8,000. The other one was 200. So you can see the row and columns, and you also look at it, you see now the size and everything, they are not the same thing. So this is what I talk about spatial resolution. So because of that, I will send this one away, and we have only this one remaining. Now in this part, we can add here Rwanda administrative here. And what we need to do, for me, I've told you what you need to do as related to this. So I'm going to go down here. Remember, we use this raster assessing here. Then I'll go to toolbox here, and today I don't want to use extract by masking. I just want to use the data set here, so which will use data management tools. And then I'm going to go down to raster. So go down to raster, then I'll go to raster processing, and then I'll go to clip. And once I'm in clip, then I can now clip it based on the elevation size that I have. So over to clip, and then I'll go here, select this extent. I'm going to use Rwanda shapefile here, so you can see this Rwanda administrative. Now I've done it like this. Output, so I have to check this, and I just want to clip the one that one within Rwanda. So I'm going to run it. So you can see here, we have clipped the one that that's within Rwanda. So if you turn off this, you should be able to see the elevation associated to Rwanda. So the same way, you can go ahead here, change the clicking on here, and you should be able to change this in this pattern. So this is the elevation of Rwanda. Then you can also click here, and then I can use this color in terms of topography. I can still go here and then change it to different colors, whichever I want it to display that best suit the visualization of what I want to, or how I want to see it. So this is where we have lower, and this is where we have higher elevation. So this is generally how you can get elevation plotted. So you see here, you can also make it in this particular pattern, and you should be able to see what the elevation looks like. So this is left for you depending on the color you want to use or how you want it to be visualized. So you can always select the color of your choice here and apply to it, and that's going to give you the visualization you want. So once this is done, and then you switch now to your layout, and you should be able to have the data variation of Rwanda. So you can see here, this is the elevation in meters, and this gives you the elevation here, and then you can design your map the way you want by adding the base map you want, if you want to add a base map, and if you don't want to add a base map, so you go ahead and make it visualized to what, whichever way you want it. And now remember what I said as related to this. So if you look at this data here, remember what I said by when I was talking about raster layer. So assuming you are here and you needed to switch the raster layer to resampling to nearest, so you can see difference between the visualization here, then you can see it here. So if you go to cubic, so you can see the way it is showing. So assuming you want to make your data looks better, so you know how to make it look. So this is the elevation here, and this is the variation it have between 506 and then this one here. So you should be able to have this well written here, and you can always change the color that you want it to show when it comes to elevation. So generally, from elevation here, the elevation data we downloaded, we are going to use it to produce contour. We are going to use it to do slope analysis, hillshade, aspect, and rest of them. So, but this is just the basics of how you can download Rwanda shapefile. Rwanda or any place elevation on different types, either SRTM or you're talking about Copernicus data, and then you should be able to use this way to use the same steps that we use to be able to produce elevation map of any place of your choice. And then this is the elevation map, as you can see. And remember, the same way you do this, you can also categorize them, assuming you want to make them into 4 category or 5 category or 6 category. So the same knowledge we have been applying, you can use that. Like you can see, this is stretch, and if I want to make it hill shade relief, so I can go ahead and make it in hill shade relief here. So if it is hill shade relief here, you can see here, this is what I have here. So this is the hill shade here. And also Z factor, I can change the Z factor, making the Z factor bigger than what it is. So then I can change the Z factor here by making a Z factor high. So you can see what I have here. Now in this one, we'll be talking about it later, because I want to make a kind of example of how you can make a kind of good map or blend it. But if you look at this now, you see the weight change. Now remember that this is where this also comes into play. If you put it in majority, so you can see how the majority looks like. So this, I'm making it in hill shade relief, so you can see I use this here, hill shade relief. So it is now in majority. So if it is in nearest, look at how it is going to look on the nearest. So if you select it on nearest, and then that's actually supposed to show you a different format it is. If it is bilinear, you can see it in bilinear. So this is how it shows. But in order to create a kind of good maps, so you can, if you take this one here, let's say National Geographic style here, and let's also say world hill shape, for example, and you want to create a kind of map that looks better. So I can take this particular one down to, let's say, here. When you take it here, you can okay, let me remove geographic style, for example, then, and let me remove this, and let me leave the world hill shape. Now if I go down here, I can go to display, or the transparency. I can set the transparency by changing the way I want it to be, and then in that way, on the transparency, which you can see here, what we have been using here. So if I slide across it, so this is a bit, now I can decide to make it like this. So this way, depending on how we want it to show. So I want to put this one, so that if I put the national basement style or the readings of the name here, and then you can see it right on top of this. So if I go ahead with it, let's start with this. Let's start with this, and then let's go to display as well. Transparency, I can see the transparency here. You can see what I'm doing, and let me put it on National Geographic, and also let me also say the transparency a bit here, so you can see this same thing now. So what am I trying to do? I want to show some of this Kigali. So you can see Butare here, coming here, showing like a kind of a map. You can see what we have here. It's showing up here. Now what I'm trying to say, which we are going to do later, is using this kind of map. So this is a map which we call Blender, which we use in the aspect of, I wanted to give you example of the map I'm talking about. So I'm referring to this type of map. For example, if you look at this type of map you see on the screen here, so this particular map, open in new tab, and you can see how this is detailed, the way it is showing here. So sometimes we use Blender to make this map looks like this. So which if I believe if you have time, I will take time to show you how to use Blender to design a map that look differently, a cartographic map that looks that particular pattern. So I will, like, there are different way, like this type of map you are seeing here, or any of them. This is Blender. You can see most of those maps you are seeing there. We are going to, if we have the time, I'm going to show you how you can use Blender to make a kind of creative or cartographic map that looks a kind of unique, and then the rest of them. So if you see here, I just move it here because I wanted to show part of this data on top of it, like the names and the label, as you can see here on top of this, and just make it blend like a kind of cartographic or design kind of map. So we can do the same thing. That's also left for you. So I can drag it back to normal for you to be able to see. So this is a relief map. If you want to talk about the relief, so you can see how the relief looks here. So you can still go to symbology and create a kind of relief map that looks like this. And remember that I use a vertical exaggeration of 100. So if you add more, you should be able to see more. So this shows you how this looks like. So if you take some maps now, like the contour and overlay on this map, so it will look better than what it is. So this is generally the way you can work on raster and able to create elevation. Remember what happens here, because I'm using this, the elevation have changed. It is now 0 to 255. So you should know best way to get it done. But assuming I still want to show the elevation, I can still show the elevation. But you can see here that because I'm using the here, I'm talking about the relief, and that's why you are not seeing that here. So you can use stretch, you can use whichever you want to. This is also a vector. So if you want to display the vector, the direction, so you can use arrows to display the direction of each of these. So if you use the direction, it is able to give you a direction vector. So you can see this kind of arrow. So you should be able to see how it is. So if it is single arrow, there are different types of arrow you can use, and the arrow is going to show you the direction of using of the elevation, just using the arrow that you have here. So there are different ways you can get it done. It's just for you to be able to know which of them you want to use as related to the elevation maps that you want to produce. So that's just it. You can use classify, you can use discrete, you can classify them into 5. This is just what I wanted to say. So if you want to make it into 5, so this is the classification. So you can select the which of them that matches the way you want it to be shown. Like if you want to go with this one and you want to make it into 5, so you can make it into 5 classification, and then this is the elevation of Rwanda by showing them into 5 classification. And remember what I said here, so you can always change the way the maps looks by going into the resampling type that you want, and then you should be able to produce the elevation of your choice. So this is pretty much of it.